Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8 and Third Reich events installed. We're still building up our army and organizing it. Right now mostly I guess it's building up our infrastructure for the coming war. Rare materials refining, that is very useful, plus 13%. These, generally speaking, I haven't gone into the details, but are been lowered because part of the mechanisms now are the idea of building and expanding the mines or plants. So that's good. Secretary of Public Information has advanced. A little less manpower, a little more research. That's balanced out by some of the other techs, but it will help us. And railroad network advanced. Supply transfer costs lowered, supply throughput increased heavily, and supply production increased a little bit. Meaning supplies get to and from factories and everything a little better, a little quicker. Okay, that is good. I know I'm just looking at various things like this. We're going to shift over because we want to win the air battle. There we go. We want to win the air battle. Okay, and this is the reason I left the others up. So, because I wanted to show you, this is the old effects for level 2 of, obviously we don't have the earlier step there, but the level 2 is 1.2, this is 1.4 IC efficiency production. Supply throughput is at 2.4 as opposed to 2.2, and that's stacked upon this supply throughput of 15% plus other technologies such as supply transportation, the supply transfer cost, and supply oil here plus 40%. So with 40% and another 17.5 almost percent, as well as potentially, and I could dig them up, but other things, it all adds up. So I really think these are worth it. I don't know that you need to keep pushing all the way to level 12, but especially the one railways dealing with supply throughput as well as remote networks can really help in situations like in Russia. So we are not going to ignore them. Whether we keep them all up to theoretical latest state is another question. let's see how, what does Italy want? Yes, we'll take that. Spain, still fighting its civil war. How is Japan doing? Japan's doing alright. Okay, monumental architecture advance. That is good. That will gain us another capability there. Imperial mines. Since I will be doing a lot of naval air type operations, aerial mines are good. They had a bunch of different types that they would drop. I think all sides used them. Or, yeah, I don't know that the Soviets did, but the Western Allies. Germany. But I think I know more about the Germans type, but mostly from the British perspective, shall we say. And they're dealing with them and encountering them. I didn't mean to hit that. The Germans obviously were bombing British cities, but they would fly in with regular bombers and drop them in places like there and, you know, Narrows. And later on, once they got close enough, they'd drop them in the Suez Canal, places like that, trying to shut them down. And the Germans got very sophisticated with their mines. It wasn't just the sort of this you see in a lot of movies, the mines that float on sort of on the surface that you see, and they have little thingies sticking out from them that if they get, you know, pushed in from touching a ship, they blow up. I mean, they obviously had those types, and they weren't always on the top of the sea, but that's where we, you know, often see them in movies. A lot of times they tried to anchor them down so that they were below the surface, but not too deep. The Germans had types that were magnetic, that all the metal ships had a, you know, they were iron. They had a magnetic field around them. And if they got close enough to a mine, it would set the mine off and do that. Well, there was some experiments, and one of our viewers may know better, of wrapping some coils around some of the ships and trying to demagnetize them, and they did that, I think, mostly for some minesweeper types. The British got a similar, but an opposite effect, in that they would put some coils that they could charge up, increase the magnetic field below aircraft, and fly them very low along the Suez Canal. Multiple times a day, or after every air raid that the Luftwaffe, don't know if the Italians were dropping the mines, would do, that they would fly along and they're to blow them up. So, you know, they're flying them 50 feet or whatever or more above the water, and the mines are very much trying to use the shock wave of water to damage or destroy a ship, you know, crack its hole open. That if you're flying over, it's just going to be a big spout of water coming up and not hurt the aircraft. But they would fly along and detonate them as they were going along the path, and they could sweep them very quickly and very efficiently. Ended up costing the Germans more than it did, and it's well, in cost. Part of it is that when you drop mines out here that would you know, you drop them at night, put them out there in what you think is the main shipping lanes, that yes, you hoped or thought you might sink some enemy vessels, but part of what it was the cost. How many minesweepers you gotta go, and if you're not sure you get them all, you gotta keep sweeping, you gotta keep escorting merchant vessels in and out with sweepers, because if the mines are set up to float, if the mines are, they often had a weight that so they'd all sink down to the bottom of the ocean with the weight at the bottom of it, and then the floating part of the mine, and they would have timers and things that would release often on a a chain of some sort, the mine to float up, and they were sort of set to be preferably under the water under most tidal situations, so they would sort of know what they anticipated the water levels. But and they could even and so that you could come by and sweep, and they're still all sitting on the bottom of the ground, or the seabed, with the sort of conventional wire type sweepers, and then 10 hours later or whatever, the whether it was an erosion clock, meaning something that would erode with saltwater contact, or a clockwork mechanism that would release the top of the mine would then float up, but stay generally in the same place because of either tidal situations or rivers. They might just be floating out. So then you wouldn't necessarily know that the path was clear or not clear. So there was a lot of energy and effort expended, I should say, in dealing with the mines that you had to do to keep your ships floating. So it wasn't necessarily, oh, we sunk X number of ships. It was, we made a huge number of vessels with lots of people and lots of fuel and other resources to operate for just a few aircraft flying over and dropping some mines that, the mines themselves are fairly expensive, shall we say. They're not just simple bombs, but dropping some of those and going away with very little loss. And so it's a ratio. We spend, say, 1 IC of effort, they spend 4 ICs of effort countering it. Maybe effectively countering it, and no ships lost. But it's still that sort of trade. If you set up and go, hey, I have an ability to spend 1 IC to create a strategic effect, and if Britain wants to counter it, they have to spend 4 ICs in countering it, and you would take that kind of trade. So that's a lot of how it was looked at. Okay. Somebody stole our blueprints. We don't even know who this time, but we found that the cabinet was unlocked, and we suspect that either the blueprints are missing, or we suspect somebody photographed them. Okay. Agricultural advance. Good. Increase our manpower. We want to do that. Now that's up to 1940, so that's a little too far in the future at the moment. Okay, we didn't expect the fuel trade to last long, but we have extra fuel. Okay, nice sort of fuel. Well, that's only a little bit over our use for supplies. Okay, heavy armor designs have advanced. That's nice. We can now build early heavy armor if we wish to. Pushing a little bit, but we'll do the small caliber gun to get it developing. Spain, well, they'll go and buy some fuel. That's good. We are now at land power. Organizational regain rate is improved, and land organization is improved. Iraq. Money for crude oil. no, we're not going to take that offer. But what I will do is, and we can check a few others out. And we'll see if we can buy one oil. Yes. See if we can buy one oil from Iran. Yes. They're not producing enough extra. Okay, radars have advanced. That is great. Germany at this time put very, very little effort into radar. It really wasn't until they were seeing the effectiveness of the British radar and figuring out what was going on did they start countering it. And technology. Naval HQs have advanced. Well, we're going to let it roll because we like it. These will keep improving our organization for various ship types. As you can see, the air got a little boost from a Goering event. Goering was a more prominent, much more prominent figure than Admiral Reeder of the Navy. Yes, we want this. And we gotta reorganize it. I'll do that off the air reorganization off camera. Much more prominent figure in National Socialist Germany than any naval figure, so it makes sense that there would be more effort put into air development than naval. It's not that the German, particularly the German Navy, didn't understand naval power. I'm sure they did, and they definitely used it. But I don't think Hitler really understood naval power, and I don't really think the German army understood naval power. Where I do think the British Army did, because the British Army learned very early on, and I'm talking well before, you know, in the 18th century, that everywhere it was going to go fight, it was going to get there via the Navy. Not that it had the technical expertise to know how to wind and sail and all that, to how to, you know, win a naval battle, but the German army looked at the Channel crossing as just a very wide river, and we just, you know, get a lot of suppression on it and then we're across. Well, navies are different things. And of course, there was a massive change to naval warfare at this time with the introduction of air power to naval combat. So when Hitler wants his big ships, he's seeing, I'm guessing 5 or 10 or whatever, big giant ships going out and sinking some British ships and winning. And that isn't controlling the sea lanes. That isn't, you know, winning the war at sea. The war at sea is a persistent thing. It goes on. And so, you know, in Germany, as you can see, is mostly a landlocked type country. It's very understandable. And again, I'm not saying there weren't German theorists or naval experts who did understand it. They obviously they didn't. The Kriegsmarine was a very professional organization and it knew what it's doing, but the political leadership, um, the military leadership in general, I don't think got it. Okay, which technology is this? It's a aircraft of some sort. Down here at the bottom. I'll use this because I can't see which one it is. Oh, superchargers. So we've achieved the supercharger capability, which improves a bunch of our aircraft types. Okay, we will 4-engine bomber crew layout. It will help some of our other, including our naval operation aircraft. So as you can see, we are down to less, 3.78 for cost of building an IC, and we're running through those very rapidly, and we're expanding. We have some other error to follow here as soon as a few stuff clear out. Okay, third Moscow show trial. Even within the, and I know I've talked about it several times, very repressive state and fear-based state of the Soviet Union, it was quite apparent that things weren't working well. And it wasn't just that they were doing near genocidal levels of starvation down in the Ukraine by guarding the growing food with soldiers, keeping the local population away from it, and then taking that grain and other food that they're growing in the Ukraine and sending it to feed people in Moscow because of the very poor situation, and a situation that, however bad, and I'm not saying it wasn't bad, it was bad, but however bad the serfdom situation was in Russia in 1914, just to give a date, there wasn't mass starvation going on. Oh, there might be some bad years, but production years, but it wasn't anything like what was going on with the Soviet Union and their attempt to collectivize it. That it was just too apparent to hide with propaganda everywhere that there were massive problems. So this was part of their block of rightists and Trotskyites. Yeah, right. Part of their way of distracting the people and blaming these people for the problems of the state. But it was also very much to put the fear in, like I said, that one of the organs, the army, that could overthrow the state, the Cheka, the NKVD, the secret police, weren't going to be the ones that overthrow the state, because they were the ones that they got their power from the state. So that they wanted to put the fear in the army, particularly, from overthrowing the communists, and that's what they were doing. Were cutting off its head, all the ones that had potential, whether they were guilty or not. And I don't think most of them, if any of them really were, of what they were being charged with. Okay, regained high popularity, wish we could keep it, hopefully we will. New ambassador to Japan, appointed a new ambassador to Japan. Yeah, these are some of the events. I live with a few of these. In the LP version, I removed most of the political events because this has no specific basis in history. Okay, new monumental buildings for our nation. Let's see the plans. Helicopters. Very interesting. The Germans were, if not the lead in it, one of the major leads in helicopter development at this time in 1938. And for the automobile show, inside a huge convention, well, more of a sports arena type thing, they got Hanna Reich, probably one of the best pilots of this time, to fly a helicopter indoors and to show its fine maneuverability and, if you will, the confidence of, there she is, it's sort of cut off a bit, of flying the aircraft in and around close conditions with people, and it was a very big success that it showed off German technology, and Hanna Reich was very proud of it, and she was an unreconstructed Nazi. So later on I saw some post-war interviews with her. Good pilot though, but other things, yeah. So helicopters we gain. Okay, Schussness meeting with Hitler, yes, we will agree to it. Instead of refusing it, we will agree. And we'll to his proposal, not just to the meeting, but we'll agree to the proposal because we don't plan on having a war currently with Switzerland, so we will lose some dissent and other good conditions for us. You can see we drop down a bit there. Build a new industrial zone. Not at this time. Yes, we will take the new industrial zone. Oberkommando der Wehrmacht. Yes, obviously we don't have a choice on that, but that sets up. It fires a decision. Remember, I have decisions fiery. An event, because I want the pretty picture to go with the event, and the decision mechanic is fine and great, but I want that more immersion feel of the event picture for that. That's why I use events. Not that I wouldn't or otherwise not have used decisions. It's just more immersive. Okay. More technology available. Trying to make sure I'm getting the ones that, like the Battle Doctrine and 38, since 38 is here. Okay, I find this fascinating. Obviously this is part of the technology of the time, but from an American point of view, it is very different. I'm trying to think back to what I know of history. I don't think we really ever, there's a few things maybe sorta, but we don't have an experience of these. And this is basically membership ID paperwork in this format. We have membership cards. We have to talk about a card-carrying member of whatever organization. And those are just normally little things maybe in your wallet that show that you support some organization by being a member of it. If you're like a union member or something, maybe back then more so than, nowadays we have computers, so you just type in your name or something. But back in the day, yeah, I'm a member of such and such union and here's my card. But they weren't things that had photos on them. They weren't a booklet that you had your photo in it, you had your details in it, and you put in stamps monthly or whatever the program is, quarterly, or to show that you're paying your dues. And this is one for the SDP as part of the events covering Germany's influence in that part of the world. And so this is just for the party of, the Sudetendeutsches Party. These people, I don't know if they were a Czech government, because I don't know enough about Czechoslovakia at the time, but whether they issued these things. But these things were very common for multiple organizations. You didn't have one of these. You must have had 10 or 20 of these, it would seem to me. And, if you were in Germany, you'd have your German party membership thing, you'd have your organization tote thing, or your rad, or whatever that was. And I can't imagine all of these various organizations that all have these little pass books. And like I say, I understand part of it is they didn't have computers routinely to do transfer funds for membership fees for supporting organizations. But still, instead of just having a book that you show up, you pay your dues, they check you off on the book that you paid your monthly dues, but it's the photo part, the various identification parts, all of that just, as an American, it just shows a bit of a culture clash. And I know this isn't necessarily found in all of the European governments at this time, and I don't know to what extent, but it's just part of, in my opinion, because we're looking at it, the Third Reich, the oppressive nature of the state, that people would generally accept this. And just today we wouldn't really accept that. Well, I don't know, but Americans don't seem to want to accept things like that. Okay, yes, we will, till June, March is a little time, but okay, 5% ICs, but we'll go for it. Southern Germany, I want a bunch of, which is quite a lot. We're building up our air power. Let's move these up. It does have a couple, because I want these building, because these are getting near done, and I really wanted to stagger them in a little earlier. Let's see. Okay, they totally killed this last little pocket down here. Okay, news and politics, yes. Just a second. Okay. Establish the undersea boot shul, yes, in its new location, fully up there. And this will also give us, I think, a new submarine. Yeah, down at the bottom there. Another small coastal submarine. So do that. IG Farben. One of their least modern famous products is Bayer aspirin. They still make it and sell it, but you see the other companies there, BASF, Bosch, Agfa, which I know is a film company, but most of them, some of the others are foreign to me. It's a period, they had a huge headquarters and research facilities. Painting of it accurate. Okay, and they supply a lot of modern medical development, so yes, we will support it with supplies. And Mountain Command and Control. That's Advanced Special Ops. Okay, so now we are at 37 for those. Let's just do forces. So now we have, with that event, we now have territorial pride at 3%, national unity up by 0.2 instead of 0.1%, and ruling party support at 12%. Step 6. So we will hopefully, with that ruling party support increase, maintain and keep a high level of popularity. Reichstag speech. At this time, the Führer described the protection of the rights of Germans living in Austria and Czechoslovakia as Germany's vital interest, and a statement that it is committed to liberate 10 million Germans living abroad. So this is a very aggressive and warlike speech, primarily directed at Czechoslovakia and Austria, as it stated, but the policy does include the Germans, because there were quite a few Germans living in this part of Poland still, or at least, shall we say, German-speaking peoples, and there were German-speaking peoples in Hungary as well, and obviously is Switzerland, though we've just had our meeting in non-aggression pact with Switzerland, and could also be seen dealing with the German-speaking peoples in Alsace-Lorraine region. So, very aggressive, warlike speech, and as you see here, and there's also, of course, and I just see in Italy, even though we're having good relations, generally speaking, we do have the threat here on the Tyrol region with Italy for the German-speaking peoples there. So, very warlike and aggressive. Now this is the match for the event. The helicopters, this is the automobile show of 1938. We'll gain some various bonuses to minor, but for some of our automobile techs. Gasoline engines chipped up. So that's because of that. It was probably very close to it anyways, but reaching the next level. Now we need to build our money back up. Alright, Philip Holzman, West Wall work. As mentioned in earlier episodes, they were a major, and still are today, a major construction firm in Germany. They had worked extensively on the Autobahn, and we have the opportunity to support them and have them work in setting up the West Wall, which will cost us some supplies. We'll go with that. And that pushed over another technology that we were researching. Giant industrial projects, as we were very near that as well. So that we've got all of those to 1940 level. And those are now 38 for Seaport, but the rest are 39. Seaport is useful, but I'm looking at other areas. First, let's... Some of these we don't have anything like cruiser crew training or light cruiser training. Let's approve some of those to have a professional Navy at some level. Okay, Japan. Yeah, we'll do Japan, but not Poland. Whatever Poland wanted to know. No, Japan is pushing into Xi'an, or however you pronounce that. We're gonna take them soon, I think. Getting on the capital. Okay, medium fuel tank research. Good. Argentina. No, we don't want to spend that much money. No. Finland, only because we want to really develop. Yeah, Romania. Okay, let's look at the Soviet Union. They want more supplies. Produce them. Let's sell them. Supplies. That way we can afford some of our developments. They're getting near Shanghai. The Japanese are. Now, some of these buildings, like hospital, police centers, infrastructure may or may not get destroyed as Japan takes them. And that. I know I did the talk on them, but I still don't remember all the details. Okay, armored fighting vehicles traction suspension has improved. That is very good. It's this one. Okay, we will end that research for now. We'll get a bunch more self-sealing fuel tanks. That's great. That helps us up there. Basically, self-sealing fuel tanks are a fuel tank with like a rubber liner, and so bullets passing through the gas tanks of an aircraft. If you make the rubber liner of the appropriate type, a bullet will go in and quite likely, depending on the caliber, but quite likely go out the other side. And if it's just metal, obviously, is leave a hole, and fuel run out and often get into hot spots and catch fire, and the airplane crash. With a lining of rubber, it would, generally speaking, for most caliber bullets, seal back up for very little leakage, and so that you wouldn't have nearly the problems, obviously, whether just loss of fuel or fuel going into a hot, fiery, burning place like an engine and catching on fire. So helped very much. I know the U.S. did it. I presume at some point, if the British already didn't have it, because I really don't know the details of the technology in some of the other countries. But I do know Japan throughout the war did not, partially from their viewpoint that we don't need no stinking armor on our aircraft, because our aircraft are always going to be pointed straight at the enemy, and the enemy are never going to be behind us or anything else because of our offensive spirit of an attack style, and anything that deters us from that adds weight to it, like armor on the aircraft, is bad for it. So we're unarmored aircraft going straight at the enemy. Maybe if they're even thinking, and I don't know how much they thought of it, but like enemy bombers with, you know, all-round machine gun defenses, you have the engine in front of you as a piece of armor, but that you're always attacking, so you don't have things like self-sealing fuel tanks, you don't have, which do add weight to the aircraft, though minor. You don't have armor, which would add significant weight to an aircraft. You don't have those things because of both your mentality and your general perceived style of attack. And if you're having such fast aircraft, you just pull away from anybody who does happen to momentarily get on your tail. It didn't quite work out as planned. They had a much higher casualty rates, so they're experienced pilots, because even an experienced pilot, if you're flying against a competent foe, and unfortunately at this time, I'm stressing at this time, China was not a competent foe in the air. But once you're against a competent foe, British or Americans, those are the people that the Japanese fought, you will have, no matter your fighting spirit, you will have moments in which the enemy will get on your tail and will shoot them down. And if you don't have any of that armor or other stuff, you will lose aircraft and men, not just aircraft, but the and men. And so it was a policy that didn't pay off. Another element to it, I don't know how much it was in their thinking, but Japanese aircraft, particularly fighters, but all of them normally had considerably longer range than the Allied aircraft. Because they were lighter, they could carry more fuel, so they had greater operational ranges, which, you know, obviously is a great help when you're fighting in a big theater like the Pacific or even China. Don't know how much of that was in their thinking and planning versus just a side effect. But I do know their Bushido air mine was always attacked, so they didn't, even when they knew about the technology, they didn't pursue it to put it in any of their aircraft. Okay, twin engine plane research has been achieved. So now we have a bunch of types that we can research here. Flying boats, we will do, and naval bombers. And we will also do light bombers. Alright, I think this will be where we end this episode. We can take a quick look at the areas of action. Republican Spain is basically two pockets with a minor thing down in the Tangiers area. And Japan, which we were just talking about, is maybe doing some sort of pincer move here. And is pushing down into there. Alright, thanks for viewing. Please like these videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And I'm mentioning subscriber. I'm not upset in any way, but I'm often intrigued because periodically I will notice, oh, I'm down 1 or 2 subscribers from the day before. And I sort of wonder why are they leaving? I'm not, you know, I've subscribed to a bunch of channels. Some of them I check often, some of them I check infrequently, but I sort of want to, you know, remember where they are and not lose them, so I keep them on my subscription list. And I understand you've got, you know, all kinds of things you can watch, you know, on YouTube, but also, you know, television, you know, the news, Britain's Got Talent, or whatever your local version of that is, and various things. So I understand that you might not have time to watch the full series and just check in and wow. But if any of you are thinking about unsubscribing, I would really be interested in just to, you know, I mean, I really don't need the "you suck, I'm out of here" type thing, but just like, just don't have the time or whatever it is, because I'm trying to build the channel up and to have a, when I'm watching television, the, sometimes I do channel surf to see like what's on other channel, but normally it's somewhere between 10 and 20 channels has most of the shows that I watch. And my DVR, which is obviously you can watch these series as you like and you don't have to save them, but I DVR various television programs for when I'm ready to watch them and not watch the full channel and everything else. But I'm sort of trying to build up as to an understanding of why somebody, after finding the channel, after deciding to subscribe to it, decides to leave. Not enough content, not enough varied content. It's all Hearts of Iron and you're sick of it, or whatever. I don't know. It would just be interesting to me, and not as a complaint, or I'm not going to have a flame war with you if you say you don't like my voice, or you don't like what I said about something. Okay. But just, I would be very curious. So if you're ever thinking of leaving, I'd like a little quick note that you could give me as to why the channel no longer appeals to you, because I obviously haven't been changing the programming very much, just more adding to it. Again, thanks very much for viewing. See you next time.